I'd like to welcome you to the AMATIC 2016 webinar series. So you're teaching statistics for the first time with Jon Oaks. This presentation is sponsored by the Joint Committee of AMATIC and the American Statistical Association, or ASA. My name is Julie Gunkelman, and I am going to be your host today. Association of Tier Colleges. Our core value is building expertise and exhibiting leadership in the teaching and learning of mathematics, enhancing personal growth, and improving teaching methods and effectiveness as a personally initiated lifelong responsibility. For more information, please see amatic.org. Yeah, I do hear the echo. I think it's gone now.
Can you hear me?
Yep. I can hear you.
Can you move me up to a presenter again, please?
Oh, did you get kicked out?
Well, no, I restarted.
Okay, Jon Oaks 1 or Jon Oaks 2?
Jon Oaks 2.
Okay, I will make you
and
a...
And I think there might be an echo because Don seems to have his mic on. So you might want to revoke the rights so that might be causing the echo for some reason.
Is there a way I can do that blanket?
I think you probably have to... I am not sure, but you might want to also restart the captioning.
I don't know why that is not working correctly. I can add another one and I can see if that would work.
Yeah, try that.
And I still hear an echo. Okay, so back to my slides. And again, I hear the echo. Okay, the views expressed by the presenter are not necessarily the views of AMATIC. Commercial products mentioned by the presenter are not endorsed by AMATIC. Okay, let's see. WebAssign is our sponsor of the AMATIC webinar series, and we're very grateful for that. I'd like to introduce you to our presenter for today. Jon Oaks is a math instructor with over 10 years of experience and has been a full-time professor at Macomb Community College in Warren, Michigan since 2011. Jon has a bachelor's in applied mathematics from Ferris State University in Big Rapids, Michigan, and a master's in statistics from Oakland University in Rochester, Michigan. He was the professional development coordinator for AMATIC from 2012 to 2015, was a member of the AMATIC Project Access Cohort 9, and is currently the AMATIC Midwest Vice President. Jon has given his presentation on active learning in the statistics classroom at AMATIC, Mishmatic, and MICTM conferences. He has also been a reviewer for the OpenStax statistics text and is on the Sapling Learning Statistics Advisory Board. Jon specializes in integrating technology, cultural awareness, and service learning projects into his courses. I would now like to turn it over to Jon.
Alright, well, hopefully now that I shut my computer on and off, everyone can hear me without me cutting out. If you guys can confirm that, that would be great. Okay, I see a couple of people typing. Okay, you can hear me now. So I guess I need to click share my screen. Let's see, hopefully it does not actually kick me out. Okay, I have a feeling it might kick me out, so can you start the first poll, Julie? Alright, so are you teaching statistics for the first time? So I'm just wondering how many of you are teaching it for the first time. Alright, so it says about, well, okay, most of you are not teaching statistics for the first time, so that's sort of interesting to know that all of you are not necessarily here for that. So let's go on to the second one. Since a lot of you are not teaching statistics for the first time, I'm just wondering, what are you expecting to get out of today's webinar? So let's broadcast the results here as they're coming in. So since a lot of you are not teaching them for the first time, okay, so helpful activities and expectations. I guess. Well, I can't make I can't make that larger, Julie. So, all right. So stats integrated into Dev Math for Gen Ed. How to put statistics in context. Teaching tips. All right. So I think a lot of you would like teaching tips, or just maybe things of what to give as tips to beginners. All right. So we can go ahead and end that. And then, what is your biggest concern about teaching statistics? So let's go to the third poll. All right, maybe we might have to make that one a little bit larger also. All right, so what is your biggest concern about teaching statistics? All right, no experience, where to find real data, not being ready, not being knowledgeable enough. All right, so I mean, those are a lot of the concerns I feel like I hear a lot. I don't think I was ready for it the first time. I saw something about algebra. I'll address that a little bit because I have a very strong opinion about algebra in statistics. Alright, so let's close that one out. Julie, do you think you can request a screen share from me, since I couldn't get it to share my screen when I clicked on it? Okay, so we are back with...
So John, where would that be?
Closed captioning. I think you just click on my name and request screen.
Oh, got it.
Okay, so start. Okay, it's can you request it for Jon Oaks 1 then, or make Jon Oaks 1 a presenter? Can you make Jon Oaks 1 a presenter too? And then while we're waiting for that, can you all take poll number 4? I'm going to talk about my course pack first that I designed for the statistics class, so you should be able to actually answer. It says, have you ever used a course pack or guided notes? So this is supposed to be a yes or a no question. And so, okay, so Jerry's a presenter now. So let's see. Not with stats, what's a course pack, sort of. Somebody said something about only from someone else. Alright, so those are all answers that I sort of expect to hear a lot of. Okay, so I've accepted the screen share for Jon Oaks 1 like 3 times now, so I'm not sure why I can't. Okay, now it just went away. I did not do that, Julie. No, that was not me. Okay, so Jon Oaks 1 does not have the share my screen option. Jon Oaks 2 does, but I can't get it to work. So, what I'm going to do while we figure out what's going on here. See, this all worked when we did the practice.
Of
So
course, it's now saying it's an upload in progress by Jon Oaks too.
that's me because I'm uploading my slides since there is uh, nothing I can do about getting the internet to work. So this is why I have backup slides. Alright, so for those of you who don't know what a course pack is, let's see. By the way, if you want to go to the link on the screen, bit.ly/algebra games, that is where all of the downloads for this presentation will be at. So bit.ly/algebra games. And then you can click on the Statistics Resources tab at the top. So you can sort of follow along. I'll try to bring up what I can. So one of the do's and don'ts of course packs is just make sure that you do create one, and do that over using PowerPoint. So if I could bring up, can you get me another pod, Julie? Or can you actually make me Jon Oaks 2 host, and then I can pull it up myself? Sorry. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to actually just share my course pack with all of you real quickly. So this is going to be actually the oddly enough, the easiest way for us to do this. So in a minute, it will show up. But the one thing that I will recommend is that you do create some guided notes. So if you haven't heard the term course pack, maybe you've heard of the term guided notes. And once you see what these are like, you'll realize that it's just the PowerPoint presentations that I started with, and then I took out some of the information and then turned it into some guided notes for the students. And I will say that a couple of the things that you'll notice are, one, I left plenty of room for the students to write because, of course, with statistics, there's lots of diagrams and things like that. So I found out that the PowerPoint just wasn't effective, and that the students just were not good note takers and whatnot. So let's see. Well, it says that it's coming up, but while we're waiting for that to come up, maybe we can move on to the next poll. And somebody said something about the algebra and things like that, so I do want to address that. So let's reopen this. What type of technology are you planning to use with your classes? So if you wouldn't mind answering this poll question, I can't get it to expand. Alright, so some of you use Excel, and if you are not, I closed it on you. Sorry about that. So if you are not teaching statistics right now, maybe just what technology you're thinking about using. Okay, so a lot of you are saying the graphing calculator. If you wouldn't mind, maybe in the chat room, just say what type of calculator you're requiring or anything like that, because I use the TI-84 with my class, and then I always run into a student that's using a TI-83, or they're using a Casio or HP. I had a student walk into my statistics class one time with one of the calculators with a paper roll on it. So you never know what types of calculators students are going to bring in. Okay, so primarily the 83, 84. I was just wondering if anyone was using the Inspire or not. Okay, so no one's using R at all. R is actually a really good choice. I mean, StatCrunch is good if you're using MyMathLab and whatnot. So, alright, so here's my course pack, and I'll give you a piece of advice in my opinion of how to create them. So you can see that I won't let you go too long into this, but you can see I have definition from the book and whatnot. So I taught from 3 or 4 different statistics textbooks before, and so I would say that my best comment I can give you is when you switch to a new book, keep the stuff in the course pack from the previous book that you liked, because you're going to become a better statistics teacher when you start merging things from different books and different resources that you have learned about over the year. And so you can probably see that I'll show you some of my favorite examples in here, and they're examples that I have come up with over the years myself. So I have some multiple choice questions in here. I should actually mention that. So if you have never taught statistics before, I would say use Kahoot, and so that's Kahoot, and then I set the multiple choice questions up in Kahoot and have the students answer them as a competition in class. So I saw a couple of comments, one about R. R, it does require a little bit of coding, but there's the R commander now that has drop-down menu, so I wouldn't be as concerned about that. If you really want to use R, use it, because my students only take the elementary stats or statistics 1 at my college, and then they have to go take statistics 2 at the other college next door that we don't offer yet, and they tell me all the time that they wish they would do more coding and more computer science type stuff in the stats class and in the math classes, because that's what a lot of the students need in their future classes. So don't let the coding turn you off. And then Triola, I agree. I do like Triola because of the way it's laid out, but it is not the most modern book. I would say that it's the book that this course pack right now is aligned to, but I could teach without the book and just use this course pack because of how it's evolved. You can actually see that over the 6 years or so that I've been teaching statistics, I even started putting homework problems in the course pack, like homework problems that I come up with that aren't even from the book. But if you read through my notes, a lot of my examples will be about tacos or about pizza or about beer or about things that I sort of enjoy. So my students know that that's how I teach the class, and a lot of the other things that I would recommend is just making sure that the course pack shows some of your own personality and some of the things that you offer to bring to the table. All right, so in terms of the technology, make sure to use the calculator or technology with your students and help them to interpret the results. And when I say help them interpret the results, that's what I was saying earlier about I have a very strong opinion about whether algebra is required for intermediate or statistics or not, or intermediate algebra for elementary statistics. And I think that a basic understanding of algebra is important, but if the student is getting the numbers from the calculator and can interpret them, then that's more important to me than actually having them do all the algebra to get the exact number. So don't be afraid of technology or be stuck emphasizing the calculations more than the interpretation of the calculations. And there is a comment about other textbooks, Gold and Ryan. I think I actually just saw those books the other day. I have a stack about 5 feet high of books that I probably will never open, to be honest. So let's go to another poll here. So have you ever used games or activities for your classes? So I just would like to sort of know if anyone happens to have used them or not. Uh-oh. Well, alright, so for some reason, I can only see you on my secondary screen right now, so that's okay. I can still see you. It's all good. So, can you see these? Have the results been broadcast yet or not? Because I'm not sure if the broadcast result box has been checked or not. Okay, so it seems like a lot of you have used games or activities, so I want to give you a few tips for using games and activities. Now, so try one or two new activities with your class each semester. I know when I first started teaching statistics, I really wanted to do a lot of activities to make it exciting, but I just don't want you to try multiple new activities each semester. It's too overwhelming for you and your students. Your students are going to get worn out by everything that you are expecting them to do. So, let me add a new share so that you can see what I am seeing on my screen. And so I am actually just going to show you the website if you're not there already and haven't clicked on the on the algebra resources area. So I don't want this to seem like too big of a disaster. But you can see that on my statistics and algebra resources page that I've given you some suggestions for what to do on the first day of class. So there's a couple of activities there. Okay, so I see a couple more comments. So one was, when you do activities, is it for probability or statistics? In all honesty, Don, I think probability should be a different course from statistics anyway, because probability is where a lot of the students get bogged down. They don't actually get bogged down with the actual statistics. But with that being said, you can see that I do have activities for probability that are separate from the activities for statistics on my page. And all of these activities I've come up with are activities that I've come up with over a long period of time, painstakingly putting them together. And actually the ones that say lab, like probability lab or correlation lab, or I think I have a couple of other labs I may not have put up here yet, but you can always ask me for them. But the labs are things where, unfortunately, there were a couple of times when I had to be sick or, or miss a day or something like that from class, and so the labs are great because they're about 1 to 2 hour activities that a substitute teacher can do with the class, and they're self-guided and they're discovery learning and whatnot, and so the students sort of learn a little bit more about the topics on their own. But then you can see that I go all the way through control charts that a lot of colleges don't do. So we use that as our ending topic instead of the ANOVA. So yeah, I have a lot of different topics that are here. I tried to organize them for you as best as I could, but does anyone have any comments about any of the activities that they may have seen here by any chance? If you don't have any comments, that's fine as well. I mean, you're more than welcome to steal all of them or whatnot. I mean, you can see that I have an activity about beef tacos right here. So I do love to bring food into the classroom. So there are some, again, suggestions of even things, not only things to do on the first day of class, but books for further exploration. I actually have about 10 copies of Teaching Statistics, A Bag of Tricks on my bookshelf right now. And if anyone is looking for tips of how to make your statistics program better, I actually hand copies of that book out to all new adjuncts teaching the statistics class in my department. So don't forget the adjuncts who are teaching statistics for the first time as well. Make sure that they have resources as well, because I really, it's Teaching Statistics a Bag of Tricks. So it's right at the top of the screen under where it says book suggestions. So it's a book by Wiley, I think, and so it's easy to get it. You can actually maybe ask the publisher or buy it for 50 cents a pop on Amazon. But again, just having things available for all of the faculty members in your department is important. So, so it looks like, Brandon, have you read the book, or are you familiar with it, since you mentioned the authors in the chat room there? Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that. Yes, okay, so you have it right next to you, haven't read it yet, so I would recommend at least flipping through it if you want some new ideas. It doesn't come with the access code because it's not a book for students. It's actually a book for instructors. So just keep that in mind, that it's a book for instructors in terms of different activities to do with the students, and it's nicely laid out by topic. So it's one of my favorite books to recommend people to. Alright, so now let's go to the next poll. And it's interesting that you mentioned OER as well, because I do feel like that's something that is very important in coming up in terms of understanding and teaching statistics. So thank you for mentioning that. Open educational resources, if some of you aren't familiar with that term, because I'm going to an OER conference on Thursday of this week, actually, and so maybe I'll learn some new things about OER that I would want to even incorporate in the presentation myself. So now I am going to look at the poll results here. Let's see. So have they been broadcast yet? So are you familiar with the GAZE standard? So I would be very interested in knowing who has been interested or has heard of the GAZE standards. So, and yeah, it looks like a lot of you are not familiar with the standards. So in terms of the standards, here is a couple of things I have to actually remind you of. One, understand your students' needs. So as I mentioned before, a lot of my students are from different majors. I have a lot of computer science majors or business majors or education majors that would appreciate the computer science aspect or the coding aspect or the Excel aspect of the class. But then also, don't assume that your students have the reading and writing skills necessary for this class. It might just be me in particular. Sometimes I think that has a big population of ESL learners in my class. But then again, I realize it's possible that all of us will have a lot of non-native English speakers in the class. So keep that in mind, that statistics is very vocabulary intensive. I actually have a vocabulary pilot going on with statistics right now, where I am actually trying to determine what we can do to help the vocabulary building in the statistics classes. Oh, yes, you make a good point. Or native English speakers that don't read and write well. I'm actually helping a couple of people on the side right now who are at a 4th grade reading level. So I really am aware of all of the struggles that our students go through in order to read and write. So don't assume that they have those skills. But as for the standards, though, be aware of the standards such as the gay standards, but don't let the standards overwhelm you. Because, as I mentioned before, your student success is the #1 priority. So let me actually bring up the page where you would see the gay standards at. So, I wish this were a live page. I don't think that Julie has figured this out yet, but I've been screenshotting the the websites as we're going and then uploading them as PDFs. So I don't think that anyone except Julie or I would probably do that. So let's see, resources for undergraduate teachers. You can see that there is a link to the gay standards here, amstat.org/education/gays, and it's a pretty large report. The last time I checked, it was, let's see, they have a college report here. So I'm not sure how many pages. It's 61 pages. So the full report is actually 61 pages of standards and standards and standards. But the one thing that I do want to bring your attention to, though, in particularly, is the link over here on the left under undergraduate that says 2-year colleges. So if you are following along with me at all, then you will see that the link to the 2-year colleges will actually bring you to something that I think is very useful in terms of the resources that AMATIC is striving to provide for members. And so I'm really happy that AMATIC has this page up here. So let me bring up what that page would look like. By the way, has anyone ever been to this page? Like, even if you haven't ever looked at the standards, have you at least maybe visited the page? You can just let me know in the chat room. Okay, yes, a couple of people have. I mean, again, I do feel strongly that the standards are important, but I really don't want anyone to let the standards get in the way of teaching statistics, especially the first time going through the course. So here we go. Now, AMATIC has a lot of good resources in addition to the ASA or amstat.org resources. So the AMATIC and ASA have a joint committee, and so that's part of how a lot of you probably heard about this webinar today. And so you can see that there's classroom and other resources. There's Stu is very interesting statistics education webpage. There's a statistic teacher network. And one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this particular page to your attention is because of CAUSE. So CAUSE, the Consortium for the Advancement of Undergraduate Statistics Education, they have a series of webinars, and you can see that down here, CAUSE webinars, and then there's the ECOTS electronic conference on teaching statistics. I think that happens every year or so. So there's a lot of interesting things that I would say that you should be a part of if you are teaching statistics for the first time and aren't as familiar with the standards or want more resources. But again, as I mentioned, start small. Just pick 1 or 2 activities or resources to start with each semester, but the backbone of your course should still be the course pack or guided notes that you set up. Okay, so with that being said, I think I have another poll. So Uh-oh, did I mess it up? I'm going to just hide it, Julie, sorry. So you can see the next poll. Have you ever used any of the AMATIC, ASA, or CAUSE resources? So even if you weren't familiar with the standards, maybe you've used the resources. Okay, so not that many of you have even used the resources, I would say. So again, maybe just by a show of hands in the chat room or whatnot, how many of you are going to check these out after today? I mean, I hope that you do, because I can't really cover all of these resources with you guys today, but you can see there's not only information about the standards and the classroom resources, but there's pedagogy and course content resources there as well. So I hope that at the very least I am energizing you to get out there to look at what else is available. And yeah, that is your homework for sure. And so I'm glad that a lot of you are saying that you'll go and check them out. So, all right. Now, the next thing that I do want to bring your attention to is, and for some reason I can't get this next thing to pop up on the screen. So on my resources page, I do have a mind map, a statistics mind map. So if for some reason you get blown away by everything else, which it's possible, I do have something to try to bring you back to earth a little bit. So again, take advantage of all of the resources, but that's not the slide that I want it here. I want you to see. I don't think I have another poll, or if I do have one, Julie, I don't think it's appropriate. I don't know if you can check without moving it. But here is my mind map, so it should be coming up on the screen any second here. Thank you for waiting here. So how many of you are maybe familiar with a mind map? I'm not sure how many of you are, but some of you asked at the very beginning about where to get data. So if you go to my mind map and click the little plus sign by data, then you can see all of the places where I would get real world data for my classes. And in all honesty, half the time when I use real world data, it's stuff I made up with a random number generator, and then I said this is the if you look at my course pack, you'll see some ridiculous examples. One of them actually is about the number of STDs that students have, and I used a random number generator to create the number of STDs, and it says one person had 98 STDs, so the students always think that's kind of funny. But you can get real world data. I've actually collected data myself, and I've used it because I was in a weight loss competition a few years ago, and then I used my weight loss data in. Oh, you know what? I don't think that is... Okay, I'm seeing a couple of conflicting results about the link. So the page... Here, I have it. It's that one. So that is the mind map I'm showing on the screen right now. So again, if you want data, then look there. If you want games and activities beyond how I've organized them already, then click that plus sign. There's some general reference. Some of you asked about OER, or Open Educational Resources. I have a whole bunch of books, blogs, articles, things like that there that you could use as supplemental reference for your courses. If you're looking for something that you can't see it, sorry, but it's applets. If you want interactive applets, like things that you can show on the screen, there you can go for that, like demos. And then this is an interesting one. and this is a very obscure statistics topic, but how many of you teach the math for elementary teachers classes and have to teach statistics as a part of it? Maybe you can just let me know in the chat room if any of you do. Okay, a couple of you do. These are references for my math for elementary teachers classes. So this is where you would go for statistics resources that are at more of the elementary level. So things that could be used in an elementary classroom. And so a lot of my students who are in those teacher ed classes actually come to my statistics mind map just to get ideas of things that they could use as well. So keep that in mind that those are there. And then calculators, this runs the gamut from calculators that are the TI-83, TI-84 to things that are online calculators. Sometimes the online calculators are good for posting a link to a discussion forum for an online class. And so just by a show of hands maybe, or letting me know in the chat room with this as well, how many of you maybe are planning to teach statistics online? Because that's a whole different ballgame as well. Okay, so a few of you are typing maybe, yeah, so some of you have taught statistics online or are planning to. And so keep that in mind that those calculators are there as calculators that I allow my online classes to use. And then screen capturing is good, especially for online classes, because I have them sort of video or explain a problem on the screen and then send me the link. And so that's important. And I can do that for actually on-ground classes or face-to-face classes as well, because sometimes they have to do test corrections and it's nicer just to hear them explain it. Videos, there's lots of different videos. If you don't want to refer students to the OER supplemental reading, you could give them video reading or video resources to watch. I call it video reading or whatnot. And there are also videos there that I've used in class. Like a lot of them are even 2-3 minute snippets as an intro, and then we discuss what happened in the video. Some of them are a little bit longer, like half an hour, and then we watch it and discuss it, or I have them watch it at home and discuss it or whatnot. Or again, one time I had a substitute show a video on the central limit theorem. It was very good, so lots of things to do. Not to minimize it, but in all honesty, the students like having videos. They like having the technology hands-on with the calculator. They like having the visual with the course pack and the hands-on with flipping through the pages. So it sort of appeals to all of the senses. I mean, I even appeal to the sense of taste sometimes, where I bring in tacos and we do a taste test and whatnot. So I mean, there's lots of things that you can do to appeal to a variety of different learning styles. And then just some general other resources for studying and homework help and tips and other resources. So again, please go here, use the resources that I've vetted for you guys in terms of things that you can use with your statistics classes, whether you're teaching it for the first time or whether you've taught it 100 times, because every time I teach statistics, I feel like I've learned something new. And I absolutely hated it when I first started teaching it. But now that I have everything organized, I realize that I have to appeal to a variety of learning styles and whatnot. It's a lot easier to do. And I think we lost the closed captioning. Oh boy. Okay, well, here, let's go to the next poll then, regardless, so... Because I know I have to wrap up in the next 5 minutes or not, or whatnot anyway. So, what are some things that you've learned from what I've talked about today? I don't mean to rush you all out of here, but I'm just wondering, what are some things that you learned, or what is at least one thing that you're going to go and do your homework on in terms of something that you want to actually, I don't know, use with your classroom? Yeah, look at the standards. There are many resources. I don't want you to go away thinking that there aren't resources. I know that when I first started teaching statistics, I absolutely did not know where to go to look for resources, and so it actually helped. And then the mind map is awesome, thank you. And I do love tacos, so keep that in mind. Now, here is one last thing that I always point out, because I do think that it's important in terms of a resource. So let me share my one last ultimate favorite thing for all of you about statistics. And I used it the first time that I taught statistics, and I really love love the resources from the AMATIC website. Oh, you know what? Somebody said something about the course pack and how they were skeptical about adding more reading. You know what? The course pack isn't more reading for the students. These are actually the guided notes that we work through in class. So there is a little bit of reading in there, but we read it in class. So I actually have the students read the word problems out loud in class. And I never used to do that either. But I realized, A, the students love reading the word problems out loud in class. B, they enjoy reading them out loud in class, and they learn more when they're reading them out loud in class. And so I have them tell me what the details are in the word problems. So we do the reading together. This isn't like a course pack where it's always just extra reading outside of class. No PowerPoint at all. I do not use PowerPoint. We use the course pack. It has all of the same diagrams that the PowerPoint would have in it, but just in the course pack. So I keep that in mind. So ditch the PowerPoint, put all of the same things in the course pack, and then have them read it out loud, discuss it out loud, leave time for them to work things in class, and still add activities in there. And, don't tell all of my colleagues this, but, this is being recorded, so they'll find out anyway. But sometimes I find I have to just skip an entire chapter. And I skip a chapter if I think that, in the long run, hey, it's going to be more beneficial if I do an activity or I emphasize some other things. But I usually just pick something to skip that I don't feel like would be a hard extension for them. So keep that in mind, like it's usually something toward the end. I still cover all of the required material. So just make sure that you're very aware of the stuff that you can skip and the stuff that you can't skip, because sometimes you just flat out can't get to everything, and I find a lot of times I don't get to everything. So I don't want it to seem like just because I have this course pack and it's organized and whatnot that I don't have to skip around or miss something from time to time. Alright, so for those of you using the calculator, if a student misses a class, I actually refer them to this website, and this is a free book. And how many of you have ever seen this book? I think that if you recognize the cover, you will have seen the book. But it's an exploration for the TI-83, and it's about 11 or actually 13 chapters long, and it's step-by-step screenshots of how to enter things in the TI-83. So I have students go to this website and actually look at the chapter for the functions on their calculator, if they've missed class or if they need more examples, or I even send my adjunct instructors here. or people who haven't used the calculator in the classroom before. I send them here. It's a manual to use the calculator, but it's specifically for statistics. So keep that in mind. And by the way, I have some hard copies of this book in my office, about 10 of them that I bought on Amazon for 50 cents each. So it's out of print now. That's why they have the chapters available for free online. But yeah, it's something useful. And suggestions for online homework. Let's see. I would say if you use online homework, first of all, general best practices would be, for me at least, have an assignment due every week. All right. I mean, I usually have an assignment that's due about a class or two after what we've actually talked about it, so that students have time to actually absorb the material and go home and study and ask questions about it. Alright, so yeah, I'm aware of 5 minutes left, so let's go to the last poll. Well, we're at it. Sorry about all of this. I'm glad that there's lively discussion, actually. I'm very appreciative of this. So are there any other things that you think I should have covered? And I'm seeing some of them in the chat room already, like online homework, and then just make sure that you follow general best practices. I'm not going to mention any online homework platforms specifically, because I think that all of you guys can guess what platform I use with the Triola book, of course. But with that being said, I am piloting an independent homework system in the fall that will still line up with the Triola book, so keep that in mind that there are other options, so don't think that you have to use the online homework platform that comes with your textbook. There are independent platforms out there. Let's see, do you think that AMATIC should consider adopting the 2 ISA guidelines? You know, it's possible that we will adopt them at some point. I mean, we have the joint committee there, so I'm not on the joint committee at the moment. If you leave a chapter out, what would it be? Generally, again, it's something where I feel like the students could extend it to the next dimension on their own, so I usually leave out 2 sample tests, and then I just say, well, I showed you the t-test. Here is where you would do the 2 sample test in the calculator, but then I move on to the regression, because in all honesty, I feel like for our students, the regression in the paired data is probably something more practical in terms of what they're going to work with in everyday life anyway than the 2 sample data. But maybe I'm getting a misconception based on the variety of student that I work with. And then I wish that I would have had time for the design of 1 chapter, activities, homework, videos, reading. I will say that if you look through my course pack, you'll see exactly how I laid out 1 chapter at a time. 1 chapter, literally, if I had to go through the design of it, I could speak for 5-6 hours just on the design for 1 chapter. So I apologize, I couldn't go more in depth on a chapter by chapter design. And then I know we only have like 2 minutes left, and so I am going to close all of this out, Julie, clear up my clutter. Again, be open to learning new things always. Don't hang on to the past. I don't want you to hang on to the past. I want you to be new and fresh and exciting. Sorry, Julie, I closed all of them, so I will shut up now and get back over to you.
Thank you, John. Thanks for a great webinar. We had tech hurdles again. So sorry about that. I think it worked out okay. Let's see. I wanted to thank everyone for participating in today's webinar. If you haven't joined AMATIC, please consider it. You can go to our bit.ly join-AMATIC. Let's see. And I goofed up my slides here too, and so I've been dealing with that the whole entire time. We are on Facebook. You should definitely check us out. There are past recordings of AMATIC webinars like this one at bit.ly amatic-webinars. It usually takes us about a week or two to produce and upload this webinar, so we'll have this recording available to you. I'm going to also ask John if we can maybe have his slides, since he did have some today, and we'll make sure that we've got those links to his site and to his mind map in particular as well. I do have a little bit of bookkeeping for you. If you could please fill out the survey at bit.ly/amatic47, it would be very helpful. And as we're closing out, I'm going to stop the recording, but maybe John will hang back if there's a couple of questions, or you can put them in the window. We can get them to him if he can't stay. And thank you very much for participating today.